All right, so we start off this collection with old school Toy Biz and I guess Mattel Marvel.
Yeah, so over here we have like a sort of a mixture of different Marvel things here and a couple other random pieces here. Secret Wars is another one of my favorite lines from the 80s when I was young. I had a few Secret Wars figures. I even had the Tower of Doom when I was a kid. So when I first started a few years ago going back and trying to get some vintage stuff, Secret Wars on-card figures were not very expensive. You know, so I could pick up a Dr. Doom, a Kang, a Magneto for not that much money. Now, the Toy Biz Spider-Man was one that I had as a kid, and I actually still have my childhood version, although he doesn't have the suction cups or one of his arms anymore. So I was super happy to find that one at, I think, New Jersey Collectors Con one year, the same time I picked up that Toy Biz Doc Ock. Package is a little messed up. Also on the wall, an Annihilus. Toy Biz Annihilus that I picked up at a great comic shop in Somerville, New Jersey called Comic Fortress. And then the Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. I don't have a ton of it, but I really love some of the other oddball stuff that went along with an action figure line. And this is like a random notepad with a marker and a lenticular shield that was part of the Secret Wars line. Never heard of it before. I also throw in this Marvel's Apocalypse from the Uncanny X-Men that just came out last year. And some of the stuff that Hasbro's putting on the retro cards these days, it's so tough for me because it's modern, so I don't care about keeping it on card as much, but the thing is gorgeous. I mean, look at it.
It's modern, but it's not. They really screw with you.
Yeah.
And then down below, I see we have like the one package Marvel Legend without a window that I actually care for.
This was big for me. So when this was announced, I was pumped up because my introduction to all of the Marvel characters wasn't really the Marvel comics. To me, it was the animated series Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That's how I met all of the Avengers and Thor and all these guys. And I've always wanted that team together, you know, Firestar Spider-Man and Iceman. And I sort of have kind of pieced together my own once that Firestar came out a year or two ago. But when they came out in the 3-pack just this past year, I was so pumped. I had to get it. I still don't think that's the perfect Iceman, but absolutely, it was one that I needed to have.
It's the best they've done, at least.
Yeah.
David Display's model behavior has me convinced that they're a throuple. Like, he's got it in my head now. I can't stop thinking about it. I see the last year, I guess it was 2 years ago's Return of the Jedi Emperor Throne Room Duel set that they had. I guess that was New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
No, it was San Diego.
Yeah. I think it will. I think that's right. I mean, either way, a package that folds out into a throne room style playset with the throne, with the Emperor. I had to get that. Love Star Wars. I love TVC.
As we move past your desk, which, full credit, you got a Mac. I'm a Mac guy. I see we have more of a hodgepodge here. Now we're going into like the Toy Biz era / Kenner with the superpowers. Are these the ones you were talking about wanting to complete?
Yeah, absolutely. So sort of from a general perspective too, I know a lot of people, the way they display their collections, sometimes they're very, not rigid, but they like to keep the same scale and the same line and the team together exactly the way that is. That's cool. I tend to like to mix up scales and stuff a little bit more so the eye has interest, you know, and sometimes I'll mix figures from all over the place together, or like on my top shelf over here, what you'll see is that's kind of like my DC shelf, right? Yeah. But you see everything from the original Kenner superpowers that are on those little blue stands from the 80s, many of which are childhood figures again, like that Green Lantern. The Superman is a childhood figure. The Penguin is a childhood figure.
I might have had the Toy Biz Kenner or Penguin now that I think about it. I had the one on the gold card that they did. But yeah, they are great. They really are. I love that McFarlane came out with the well, that's the card they used for the Walmart exclusives this year, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. they did, and I picked some of those up too. They're not exactly in scale with these guys, but I tell you what, man, I was just so happy to finally walk into my Walmart, and when I saw that display with the colors, it was just fun, man. And they're reasonably priced, so kids can just get them today a little bit easier. And then you have some Mezco DC figures. That Dark Side that Mezco did is insane. He's made out of like a poly stone, so it's like a different material. He lights up. The Dr. Fate is awesome. And now I have the Christopher Reeve Superman and the Dr. Fate there, but I've sort of replaced the heads with a couple of Mezco heads. And I sort of had a headcanon thing where like Superman was like hit by some kryptonite and he had a thing going on there. And then up on the wall, we have a couple of carded figures here, the Superman and Lex Luthor, and then that Brainiac, whose card's a little bit beat up, but he's special to me because my wife took me to Somerville for a Father's Day a couple years ago, and we went into a comic shop, and that's what I picked up when I was there. So I often attach, besides a character and a line, figures mean a lot to me based on the story behind them a lot. You know, who gave them to me, or how did I get it? Yeah. Was it at a con that was cool? You know, that kind of thing.
Moving to the next shelf, we got a hodgepodge of Legends and Mezcos again. I'm actually digging the way you kind of combine this stuff. Yeah. That Wolverine, man, he's gorgeous.
Yeah, so that's like my version of my Marvel shelf, and yeah, that's the best Wolverine that I've ever come across. I happened to get him. There was some kind of sale where I got him for like almost half price.
Oh!
And because I wasn't originally going to get him because it was an expensive set. It comes with the Sentinel base, like 50 different heads, and I'm like, I don't need that many heads.
Yeah.
But when I saw it for a special price, I grabbed it. So worth it. Just incredible. The different hands and stuff. The base, the figure itself feels good, and it's one of those instances where the Mezco soft goods really works with this kind of superhero.
Tell us about our next shelf. I see, is that the glow-in-the-dark Muckman?
It is. So what we've got going on the next shelf here is a work in progress. I decided to try to do like a glow-in-the-dark shelf. So now I'm going to be pulling in figures from all over the place that just happen to be glow-in-the-darks. We've got a glow-in-the-dark Lady Death from Loose Collector. We've got a glow-in-the-dark 5 Points Frankenstein from Mezco. We've got the glow-in-the-dark Atticus Doom from Mezco. The glow-in-the-dark Scare Glow from Masters of the Universe Origins, which is one of the best Scare Glows I've ever encountered in my life. The Jada Toys creature that's glow-in-the-dark, and then that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive glow-in-the-dark Baxter Stockman from Super 7, and I really, really love that glow-in-the-dark RoboCop. That's my only, that's my only Haya or Hia figure. I'm not really sure how you say it. Haya. He's a great figure, glow-in-the-dark, Christmas present from my wife. So that's going to be a whole glow-in-the-dark shelf there.
So Haya, I just became familiar with. They have their first 1/12 scale figure coming out.
I heard about that.
Rambo.
Yeah.
You don't want to go down that road. So that's the best Rambo impression I got.
That's not bad. That's the best one I've heard today.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a sucker for, different features like that. I love glow-in-the-dark figures in general. So since I do, I figured put a shelf together of just that. So that's the Super 7 glow-in-the-dark Muckman, the New York Comic-Con exclusive. And there's a little story behind him just because I picked him up at New York Comic-Con this year. I went for the first time ever with my 11-year-old son. Now, I've been to New York Comic-Con a bunch of times, but first time I took him. So that was sort of like my souvenir from the con.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what nerd cave is complete without a TV? You got the big rockin' TV going. Yeah. And then below it, we hit what's probably going to be your favorite area, I bet, the Mythics area. Yeah,
so this is my first little Mythics area here, and I started trying to set up a little environment with like the rocks and everything like that. And we've got my first 2 trolls from the Mythic Legions line. Mythic Legions Ice Troll is one of my favorite figures of all time, and he's been outside. Whenever it snows, he's going outside. He's getting pictures taken with the snowman.
It's cold for him, it's cold for you.
Yes. And again, Mythic Legions, the 4 Horsemen, they made a moose. I still can't believe it.
Can't believe it. Although, I need to get one of those, paint its nose red, and put Father Christmas on him. Like that, I feel like is the, you finally jumped the shark and you're there.
I can't believe I haven't seen that yet. That's got to happen.
Like, Trevor, what are you doing? What are you doing, Trevor?
Behind everybody there, we have the Legions Con exclusive figures from this past Legions Con. I still plan to take them out of the package. I just haven't yet. They just look so cool in the package. Some of my friends give me crap all the time. They're like, you got to take the one on the left is called the Unknown one, or the Unconed one. You got to take them out. And I'm going to, but they just look so cool in the package. I'm just going to live with them for a little bit like that. And I've even got some other figures, like I've got the, sprinkled in here, I've got Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Strongheart, with his horse, I believe is named Equestria in the front there, and even a couple of Plunderlings sprinkled in there a little bit.
Moving on, more Mythics. I feel like I saw that Dio somewhere. Like, was that, did you pick that up at the Legions Con?
I didn't. That's from Extreme Sets, but I have seen either that Dio or others that look a lot like it that have been around. So I think it's a very popular one. But what you're talking about is the water fountain.
No, I was talking about that. I thought that Dio, I didn't know Extreme Sets did anything but cardboard, actually.
Yeah, I've had that for a couple of years now. And then the marshy mat there, that was from Legion's shop.
Okay.
So sort of kind of going across all three of these shelves here on the top is sort of a Legion's focused.
Yes, we got lots of
here.
Legions.
The one on the left here is a mixture of it's kind of like more of a grassy outside sort of theme here. And it's mainly mythics. But you've also got the vintage War Duke is over there.
Yes.
I've got a Matthew LaCroix Pythona over there. Even a Viserion, McFarlane Viserion dragon up there, and a Mezco in there as well. That fountain there, I did get that fountain from Legion's Con. That's from a company, Drunk Gizmo Customs.
Okay, nice.
Alexander Deshaw's, I believe his name, and he's sort of specialized in making these incredible looking fountains.
Huh.
And once I saw it, I was like, I had to get it.
Yeah.
In the front there, the guy that's sort of translucent and blue with the chains on him, that's a little pop and swap that I did myself of 3 different Mythic Legions characters. Probably my favorite one that I've done so far. So I figured let's stick him in front. One more quick story. The guy next to him, sort of the guy with the cloak on with the green, was a figure that I won. So there was a very, very small con in Flemington, New Jersey, about 10 minutes away
we passed it.
from where we're at right now. Very small, but there was going to be some guys there that are big Mythic Legions fans and work in the custom community, specifically the Toy Forge, Anthony House Seal.
Yep, I know him.
And Len LaGuardia and Wolf King Customs were there too.
Yes.
So this figure was from Wolf King Customs and was a door prize.
Nice.
Sort of like as you walked into the con, you had a ticket, and then you threw the ticket in the hat, and they were pulling winners every hour. I walked in, met a couple of my friends, Ryan Gonzalez and Amber Gonzalez there, and then like literally 5 minutes later, they're pulling the winner, and Ryan and Amber are like, watch. They were kidding, like, oh, you just walked in, watch you win something. Sure enough, I won it. I walked in and won it, so that one means a lot to me too.
That is awesome. Next up, I see we have the Thundercats, and again, you got the vintage mixed in with the Super 7.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the Super 7 Thundercats Ultimates. I was glad that this, Thundercats line sort of came back. There's Pumira, who's I guess Thundercats Classics is what it was called when Mattel still had it. But the rest of those guys are mainly the Super 7 versions, which I absolutely love. I've got 3 different Mum-Ras, a glow-in-the-dark one, the decrepit Mum-Ra with the 𝐒𝐶𝐆𝐸 cloth good cape, and then the big giant ever-living Mum-Ra there. And then I have just a couple of the vintage figures. The Mum-Ra and the Lino I ended up acquiring from a collection that I bought, and that the old vintage Mum-Ra I picked up from ZoloCon last year.
Have you tried watching this with your children at all?
Thundercats the cartoon?
Yeah.
I have actually. So I've tried them on different cartoons from as a kid. Like I'll do that a lot on Saturday mornings. Like I call it Saturday morning cartoons. Thundercats is actually one of the ones that they actually request and will actually watch sometimes.
How's it hold up for you? Like I watched the original He-Man with my kid, and I'm like, it was way better. I remember.
I think Thundercats holds up pretty well. Number one, for my money, it's got maybe the best theme song ever for an 80s cartoon. And the animation is pretty good. There's a lot of action. You don't get as much of the... Not that I need a cartoon to take itself seriously, but like you were saying, for like Masters of the Universe, there's a lot of comic relief in it, and it's very much seems like it's aimed at younger kids. So I don't know if maybe because of that it seems cooler to them, but I think it holds up pretty well.
And as we go down, we got the same thing with Masters. You got 2 shelves of Masters mixed in with some Super 7, and the Super 7 days are real. The Super 7 stuff's really starting to appeal to me. I have been very critical of them. Right, people? I've been very critical of Super 7, but the more I see out of the box, the more I love it. It's not a good thing for me in my bank account.
I was sort of late on the whole Motu Classics deal.
Yeah.
I sort of got into it after Super 7 was already making them, and they were doing a lot of the Club Grayskull animated figures, and I think they knocked that stuff out of the park. I think that Adam looks incredible. It looks like he stepped off the screen from the cartoon. And then I have also just the regular animated He-Man there. A couple of my favorites there from my childhood, that Cobra Khan, the Ram Man, again, Trapjaw, all from my childhood there, so that's pretty cool. And I even stick in a couple of reaction Motu, again, to get some of that interest for the eye, different scales, and also translucent, another little feature I love.
I really actually dig the way you do the different scales together. Usually I'm so OCD that I could never do it, but seeing it, I think it looks really cool. I think it's a really cool way to do it. It really does kind of just bring the eye to it.
For me, I like being able to see different things and have my eye move to different places. So it's intentional.
Yeah.
I do that on purpose. And on the bottom there, you have 3 different Robotos. Roboto's actually one of my favorite characters.
Despite being in, what was he, in like 1 episode originally?
Yeah. So in that episode, that's where the Super 7 version comes from. And I tell you what, the vintage one is there, and over to, if you're looking at the shelf, the one all the way on the right is the Masters of the Universe Origins Roboto. That figure is incredible. For a $15 figure, I think it might be my favorite Roboto ever. The mechanical things inside work, okay? He's better articulated than the vintage one. He's got everything the vintage one had, plus more. Fantastic, fantastic job for an Origins figure.
As we move on, we see more Four Horsemen. I see a lot of my favorites. I specifically love the way you put the lighting behind it. We'll just call him Ethereal, because I don't know how the hell to say his name. And I also love the fact that my Mythic collecting has just been, that looks cool, I'll buy it. I need to find like a focus for it. So I think what I'm going to start doing is I want all 4 of the Horsemen and their mounts, which I've got 1. And I might get I might go back and do the He-Man, or like the He-Man stuff. Like I'm looking at that dude. I don't know any of their names. I don't. I just say, hey, it's Battle Cat. I want him. He looks fantastic.
Well, that's perfect, because that's who he is. His name in Mythic Legions is Kauros, but he's a beautifully painted figure. Like the detail with like the metallic paints on him, he's gorgeous. And I sort of grouped the figures on this top shelf together mainly for like a color scheme. So there's sort of like a fire theme going on here. So I've got Arathir with the flaming sword and his horse Atheon. And then I've got Apharius, the Centaur, and they're kind of in a battle there. I put the Kickstarter Spawn in the background just because the reds and the blacks seem to match for me. Over on the left there, you have a Sir Gerard figure, which is the figure that's a tribute to Jeremy Gerard of the Four Horsemen. And that's a slight kit bash. I kit bashed him with a Black Knight to make an all-black version. And then there's Atticus Doom, one of my favorite figures in a long time up front. I've got him surrounded with the flame effect that came with the Mezco Crow. Moving to the right there, that dinosaur guy is a figure from the Toy Story That Time Forgot, which is like a Toy Story Christmas special. If anybody that's into like Christmas specials like that or has kids, that's a fantastic one. You got to check it out. And then on his left, our right, there's a goblin there that I actually painted. My first ever paint job. I painted him all gold.
He looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah, he looks real good. And then we have the other shelf of Mythics. Now you got a purple thing going on. There's Mythics in there. What else? Is that who is that? That Transformer in the back.
So that is a Super 7 Megatron, and the idea is that Megatron is sort of like an homage to Transformers the movie.
Okay.
So when Unicron is changing him into Galvatron, he turns him purple and everything. So that's sort of an homage to that. The purple is really inspired by the Alithia wave from Mythic Legions, which is like the vampire wave, which has got to be my favorite.
Really?
I mean,
well, Poxus hasn't come yet. Just wait.
That's true. Yeah. So I mean, that's all of this is subject to change. Yeah. Hagnon in the front, one of my favorite figures of all time. A ghost skeleton figure with real metal chains, an articulated jaw, translucent and glow in the dark. He could fit on 2 shelves here.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And in the back there's one of the NECA Predators, the original Predator movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's called the Laser Shot Predator. He's there because he's purple.
Nice. Then you have your carded stuff. I see we have, again, we got the Trapjaw tribute. We got Cara Dune, because you'll never get her again. We got some carbonized stuff. Look at that.
Here's the thing, guys. It's me. So everybody always wonders, while they're making another cheap repaint, they're going to carbonize. Who likes this stuff?
You're the carbonized credit collection guy.
It's me.
Right.
Not credit collection so much, but the
one.
carbonized stuff. Yeah. There is one. You got me. Damn it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, a bunch of carded stuff on the wall. Carded stuff for me, it happens for different reasons. A lot of times it's because it's vintage, like the Power Lords Arcus, or the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Boba Fett. My sister-in-law gave that to me for Christmas, so it's special to me. And other times it's just because I haven't opened the figure yet. I need to do something with it, hang it on the wall.
Yeah. Well, I love the Masters of the Universe Classics line. That's one of those lines that, like, if you didn't get it when it was coming out, you better be rich now. That thing's just... whoop.
Yeah, well, that Fearless Photog figure, that's something of a grail because, a lot of people probably know the story. That was from the 80s when Masters ran this this contest where they had fans create their own figure.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, and the winner was this kid. Was his name Neil? I don't remember what the kid's name was. But the kid wins by designing this character, Fearless Photog. Huh. And the idea was, I think they won like $100,000, and then the figure was going to be made. Okay, so the kid, I think, my understanding is, I might have this wrong, but I think he actually won the prize money, but they never ended up making the figure because the line died after that. So when Mattel was doing Masters of the Universe Classics, they went back and for the first time ever made the Fearless Photog figure, and that's where that guy comes from. I love the story, wacky, ridiculous looking figure, so he needed to be in my
That is, yeah, that's, hey Neil, if you're out there, contact me. That'll be a fun video.
Yeah.
So I see Defenders of the Universe, another classic, then your Turtle stuff, once again, mixing in your Turtles with, I see NECA, Super 7, and Playmates on the same shelf. Favorite Turtle character of all time?
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo. Have you read The Last Ronin?
I have not.
Oh, no spoilers then, unless I just did. Going down more, we go to the Ghostbuster / Predator shelf. That's a very interesting combination. It looks like Egon might want to take out the Predator, but he doesn't see a chopper. Get to the chopper. We move into the Wars. This looks like your classic homage. I see, are those originals or are those retros?
So the originals we have on that shelf are the R2-D2 on the top and the low gray. No more accessories, but those two are both childhood originals.
Okay.
I got to call out that shiny Boba Fett. That was an Iconicon exclusive. It's this online con that happens with a bunch of YouTubers in the summer, I think, every year. That was the exclusive that was made, I think, by Stan Solo Creations. I saw it, needed to have it. One of the most beautiful, shiny things I've ever seen. One thing I just wanted to call out was the Star Wars trilogy, the VHS tapes, also a childhood original in the back there. I've always had that. They may be disintegrated inside, but I love that presentation of the box.
Yeah, the VHSs are getting mold at this point. They're not long for this world. And then we have, is that a Power of the Force Jabba's Palace? Or is that the new Vintage Collection one?
That's the new Vintage Collection one. Now, the Jabba himself is vintage.
Yes, nice, nice. I love how you have Mando flying there. Then at the bottom, that looks like a hodgepodge of, is that Super 7 Turtles? And is that Action Force? Is that a Swarm Trooper?
It is. This is kind of an overflow shelf here. I've got the Navarro's Cantina at like a Black Friday sale, just haven't busted it out yet. The plan is to set up a cantina scene down there. Nice. But meanwhile, the Mutagen Man wouldn't fit on the turtle shelf. The Action Force Swarm Trooper, which is a great design, he wouldn't fit anywhere, and the Galactic Skeletor happened to be there, but they need to be out somewhere.
Nice. Looks good. Every one of these tours I've done, somebody has one of these one-up arcades. And I've always been of the impression, like, man, maybe one day I'll like build one and have everything in the same. In fact, our awesome cameraman today did that. But as I see these, I'm getting the feels. I want one.
I tell you what, if you keep like your eyes and ears open, sometimes you can get a good deal. I got this one for, I think, for like $300, something like that. They usually go for more than that. Yeah. They're awesome. They're easy to put together. They're a little bit smaller than a normal cabinet, but you don't notice it. And I tell you what, I have kids. The kids love playing it. So they're like, their little cousins come over. They love playing it. It looks cool.
I think my only issue is I'm a giant. So I'd have to like get on my knees to play. So that makes it a little bit harder. I've told many people I didn't have any Joes. I was not a Joe guy. You clearly were. Tell us about this set. What memories do you have?
All right, so G.I. Joe was my favorite toy line growing up. I just loved the scale. I loved all the characters. I loved the cartoon. I even loved the damn movie. I never had the Defiant space station as a kid, but I have a very specific memory of seeing it like in a Toys R Us catalog or something like that and just being like, I can't believe they made a space station. It's so amazing. I never even saw one in person until I was an adult. So when I had the opportunity to pick one up, I just needed to. Like, to me, it's a showpiece. It's a centerpiece of a collection. It's massive. It's not easy to move around. I was telling you earlier too, is that the one thing is that like the gantry moves up and down and it opens and closes and all the different pieces come off, but it's terrifying to move that thing because you feel like it's going to break. But it's just, I love coming into my basement. My sight goes right to it.
That. Nice.
Love it.
At first, I came down, I'm like, is that like a mini Unicron? Because we all know my Transformers knowledge is minimal. Who the heck is that?
It is a Unicron, a bit of a smaller scale. It is made by Takara.
Okay.
And it's in a translucent green. I have no idea why, but I like translucent colors anyway.
Yeah, he looks great.
And it was a dude, I literally found him on BBTS, and I was like, all right, well, I didn't get the HasLab.
Yeah.
Let me get this one.
That's a good alternative. Now we come into the gem of the collection, and this thing is massive. It's clearly the Sky Striker Nom line. It's the flag. That thing, like, that just catches the attention, man.
This is the playset, right? The 80s was the decade of playsets that we'll never probably see again. And just the audacity that, you know, the toy companies in the 80s decided we're going to make a mock aircraft carrier that's going to be freaking 7 feet long, as big as a table, and people are going to buy it. And they did. You know, there's a bunch of them out there, but like it's a space hog. It takes up a lot of real estate, but man, as a collector, this is how I rationalize it to myself.
It doesn't get any better than that. It really doesn't. It is pretty freaking amazing. Again, not a G.I. Joe guy, but it's like one of those things I feel like I might one day actually have.
That's the thing, and it's kind of like, I don't even know, is it the kind of thing that I'll keep forever because it's so big?
Yes.
But for now, probably. Because I'm such a G.I. Joe fan, it's a place where I can set my other G.I. Joe stuff on there. And honestly, because I have the flag, may have been the biggest reason why I went in on the HasLab Sky Striker, because I thought it would look cool sitting on it.
It will. Just wait till they do the flag. Nah, it's not going to happen. That flag would be like $1,000 today. The amount of, like, you talk about the audacity, the kahungas to actually make that thing. I actually heard it was Doug Peterson's idea right about the same time he called the Philly Special.
Let's do it.
See what I did there? Tons of awesome Joes. We got both scales. We have originals from the Real American Hero line. We have the classified, and we have the...
There's some 25th anniversary guys on there, vintage Star Brigade, and then just some like one-off figures. Like I had that Larry Hama G.I. Joe action figure. I
didn't know that existed.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, that's amazing. I actually met Larry Hama one time.
Oh, nice.
New York Comic Con, he was in Artist Alley sitting by himself. And I was just walking down the aisle, and I'm like, isn't that Larry Hama? And I went up and I talked to him for a minute, and it was him. And I took a picture with him. Nicest guy in the world. I mean, he is as much as, if not more than anybody else, responsible for all the G.I. Joe stuff. Yeah. So, very special.
Now, is Captain Nemo unhappy with the aircraft carrier being in his ocean? He seems angry there.
Yeah. Well, if you listen, it's Captain Nemo. It's him in the ocean. He's not messing around.
How's he feel about Aquaman? How's he feel? You know, I don't think he's happy about that guy.
I don't think he gives him the time of day, to be honest.
No Aquaman?
No,
that guy's just off doing his thing with fish. Namor's off pretending he's a mutant.
Yeah. So, I mean, Captain Nemo, I was going to put him on a different shelf, but I'm like, hey, this is the water area, so it makes sense for him to be over here. And again, Mezco does crazy stuff. Captain Nemo, great figure.
Blue tablecloth, though. Nice touch with the ocean tablecloth.
Yeah, Amazon. I was like, let me just see if I can have something to go underneath this so it'll look like water.
That is a smart move. I'll give it to you. I give you that one. Then we have what looks to be like your Mod Podge shelf for real. Is this all stuff that you're like, I need a spot for this?
So this is stuff that's sort of like in transit, and I sort of haven't figured out exactly what to do with it. Like, some of it's going to end up in the glow-in-the-dark shelf over there like you've seen before. Some of it's going to be used for customs. On the top shelf, there's a Mythic Legion's Lord Viteris.
Oh, my friend Joe.
Yeah, who's that's right. I saw that video of you talking to Joe Viteris. He's a great dude.
Fantastic guy.
That's sitting here by itself because I need to bring it with me one time, and I'll ask him to sign it.
Get the old John Hancock on it.
And then on the left, same shelf, that little goat guy is Krotos from the Alethea Wave. That guy is sitting there because I wanted to make sure he had a place of honor. Was given to me by my good buddy Eric LeBron. I happened to mention that I didn't have him yet, and I just wanted him. The thing shows up on my doorstep a couple of days later.
Got a lot of bags to do that.
Yeah.
More Super 7, more glow in the dark. Man, this is a hell of a setup you got. And then down below you have your trolls in the box still. Are they staying in the box, or you just haven't figured out what you're doing with them yet?
They're gonna come out. You know, the Ice Troll now has like this Cyclops head that he came with, and I want to pop that on there. And then the Brontis, the red guy, I'm just waiting for the heads to come in on them. And actually, that'll make my second Ice Troll, and I have a secret custom planned for one of them that I don't know if I can pull off, but I'm going to try it out.
We look forward to seeing that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Epi, when you get to this part, just show the figures because I can't set up the other camera well. All right, and then we have the sports section, and it's all Philly. I freaking love it. But nothing Flyers, so you must be like me and just not a hockey guy.
I do like the Flyers too, but they're definitely 4 out of the 4 for me.
Yeah.
So this is just, I just pulled out some of my favorite stars, or stars who had a very special moment in my Philadelphia fandom here for me. Actually, the McNabb he was my favorite player for a long time. And that figure was given to me for Christmas many years ago. That's why it's so yellowed. And of course, a bunch of the Phillies that won the World Series. Iverson never won a title, but probably my favorite basketball player of all time. And BDN, Nikki Sixx, he's got to be up there. He gave me a Super Bowl.
No doubt. You got a statue, you get your own figure. I actually thought about picking up some of these, but my era of Phillies, they don't make them. I need a Darren Dalton. I need a Lenny Dykstra. Who else is going to be the degenerate center fielder in my collection who gets kicked off of Twitter?
Oh, that was a great team, though. That was a fun team.
That 93 team. Last but not least, this is beautiful. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest things for me, too, is being able to meet some of the creators that I'm fans of. Like, I've got prints from Trevor16 Shooter. This right here is a print from Nate Barch, who's done a ton of Masters of the Universe art and now does all the Four Horsemen art. I bought this at Legion's Con 2021, and he was kind enough to sign it for me and personalize it to HedgeHogAction. So it means a lot to me, and it's a great piece of art. My favorite Mythic Legions wave, and one of my favorite artists, too. So
nice.
That's special to me when you can get art from the artist. Yeah. I just think that's cool.
Yeah, that is definitely cool. Very cool.